Have you ever felt like you'll never get good at maths? Like you'll never get the marks you want for maths and you will never master it? This video is for you. From grade 10 student to grade 12 student, you will find a lot of value in this video. These will be tips on how you can improve at maths from whatever level you're at. My name is Wandile. In this video, I'll be giving you guys tips on how you can get better at maths. I'll divide this video to three main tips. I have been getting straight A's for maths since 10th grade when I got serious about maths. I also got 100% for maths in 11th grade for term 2, and I've been getting like 98 and like 90 pluses since grade 11 to grade 12. That's not to brag, that's just to show you guys that these tips I'm going to be talking about are going to be useful to help you improve for maths. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is master, don't memorize. Now, what does it mean to master and not memorize? I'm going to try to make an example. We are taught that the gradient is calculated by m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Now, if we are calculating a gradient, that means we need coordinates in that case. But take a case where you didn't have coordinates. If you had a line going through an axis with a grid. Now, in that case, you wouldn't be able to calculate the gradient because you don't have coordinates. But if you do understand what the gradient is, you can calculate the gradient, because the gradient essentially is change in y divided by change in x, which is your vertical shift or vertical movement divided by your horizontal movement. So you would be able to calculate the gradient if you understood what the gradient is. But if you memorize how to calculate a gradient, you wouldn't be able to calculate the gradient in this case because you would need coordinates. And in this case, you don't have coordinates. Now, how do you master, or how do you understand? You understand by firstly asking questions. You ask questions during class. If you're shy, no problem. You can ask the teacher questions after class. You can always go to the teacher. And if you're scared of approaching your maths teacher, you can go to another maths teacher. There's usually more than one maths teacher in a school. Um, Even if they're not in your grade or not teaching your grade, you can go ask them. I think they can help you. I used YouTube a lot. YouTube has a lot of interesting videos. I like watching Ali Abdal. I'll link his video on the top corner of this one. I'll link his channel, whatever, on the top corner. Or you can use books. Books are interesting. They have like most of the important information there. So you can use books to understand what is what like the topic is about. You can understand why you solve problems in a particular way, where the topic comes from, how to derive the formulae of the topic, and everything. So you have to understand. And one other important thing is try to understand before writing question papers. Because if you write question papers before you understand, you are going to get trapped in the cycle of writing a question paper, getting a question wrong, going to ask someone to help you up with the question. They are going to help you understand that question, and then you'll be able to answer the question in the next question paper. I don't deny that will get you a lot of answers and will get you good marks, but you will never hit above 90 or above 80 or whatever. Your marks will be like, you won't get to where you want to get if you do that, because There's always a gap in your understanding. There will always be a gap. You just keep writing question papers, asking for help, they help you. But if they introduce a new question in a question paper, then you won't be able to answer it because you don't understand. You have not mastered the topic. You've mastered the questions that have been presented to you previously in the topic. It's not the same as mastering the topic, it's completely different. Now, that's mastering. Have to master, not memorize. Now we're getting to our second tip. The second tip is focus on your weaknesses. Now, what are weaknesses? I divide weaknesses into two for maths at school. I say there are maths related weaknesses, which the weaknesses such as not understanding a topic. Basically, it's not understanding. Cannot understand. Maybe you don't understand the topic, or you don't understand a particular problem. You don't understand why you use a particular thing. You don't understand the fundamentals. You don't understand something about that topic or something that has to do with maths. That's a maths weakness. So you have to improve that. You have to focus on your weaknesses, not your strengths. So you write tests, you see where you are weak, and then you go learn that, and then you write more tests, focus on your weaknesses. Don't spend the same amount of time on what you're good at and what you're not good at. Because most people they go for question one every time they study. They never do question nine. But then they know question one, they always get totals on question one, or they get reasonable marks on question one. Then why are they not studying question nine? Why are they not studying question three, question six, whatever? They don't focus on their weaknesses, they always focus on what they're good at. Because, I mean, it's kind of nice to do study question one, even if you know it, because it boosts your ego. You feel like, I know maths, I know maths. But you know very well with the if you had to write question nine, you'd get a very low mark. So just focus on your weaknesses on the maths related thing, as well as the second type of weakness. The second type of weaknesses are test writing weaknesses. So test writing weaknesses have to do with things like speed. If you're not fast enough in writing a test, you have to improve your speed. I got I asked a few people how to improve my speed back when I was doing metric. One of them, Mondli Kanyase, was my tutor, said that you need to repeat the practice or like practice as many times as you can so that the question becomes second nature. Like you can get to a point where you don't even have to think a lot in order for a question to come. I'll make a simple example. If you're in question 1.1, you already know whether the problem is going to be something like x plus 2x minus 3, open bracket, x, 1, 3, biggest number takes the sign of the middle term, plus, minus, you're done. But then when you get to something like like the trigonometry, for example, you're gonna find that you have to think, okay, what do I have to do here before I get to the solution of this or before I get to the simplification of this problem. You're gonna be stressed or whatever. But if you practice it enough, if you practice the trig enough, you will get to the level of efficiency you have for question one in trig. You literally see a trig problem and you'll be like, okay, I know how to do this. I substitute sign, I substitute whatever, I do this, I get the answer. You can be quick like that on every single thing just by practicing it enough. The only reason why you know question one so much is because you practice it more than everything. So you need to start putting as much effort on the other things as well. Now, then the next one is you need to avoid mistakes. That's one of the test writing weaknesses. Mistakes are also a product of not practicing enough, I think. So you need to practice enough and be conscious of what you're writing. Be conscious. See your mistake from marking a previous paper you wrote, and then make sure not to make it again. Be vigilant while you're writing it. I'm gonna make sure I don't make that same mistake. So those are two examples of test writing skills. Maybe you can find others like representation. You don't know how to represent the answer in the best way. Um, you have to improve all of that. And then now we are getting to our third point. The third one is consistent practice. I'd say this is the most important one out of all of them. You have to practice a lot to be good at math. Practice a lot. When I was in high school, I used to brag about the hours I spent studying maths. I used to brag and tell people, you know, no one studies maths more than me. I don't care who gets more marks. I only care that I study maths more than everyone. That's not healthy comparing yourself to other people. So the healthy way of looking at it for other people would be I have improved the number of hours I spend studying maths from back then to now. I was only doing 5 hours per week, but now I'm doing 6 hours per week. Just a random example. Maybe the hours are a bit off, but you get the idea. You have to keep improving from your previous performance, not from other people's performance. So, um, what does it mean to be consistent and practice? Being consistent is basically studying almost every day. I'm saying almost because, well, sometimes every day is not realistic enough. People always tell you, you have to spend like an hour on math every single day. That's good. That's good, especially if you do it in the morning where there's nothing to disturb you, or late at night where, like, but um, just try to do maths practice as many times as you can, as often as you can. How I used to do this was through different phases during my high school years. At one time, I used to spend an hour. I used to wake up at 4 and spend an hour on maths every morning. And then after school, I would do the other subjects. I wouldn't do any maths. So I knew that like per week, I was doing so from Monday to Saturday, I was doing 6 hours of maths per week. And then another time I used to come back from school, sleep for like 2 hours, wake up, do other subjects, and then do an hour and a half of maths at night latest because I began to enjoy maths more than all the other subjects. So if you enjoy it, when I enjoyed it, I would be intrigued and be able to study it when I'm tired. So that's why I decided to do that. Another time, especially during exams, I would say I'm going to spend at least an hour of maths during school hours because sometimes you'd have a lot of free periods. I just say I'll do an hour of maths during school hours, and then when I get home, I can do all the other subjects. So it's up to you how you decide to plan your schedule, but you have to do a lot of maths at least once in like 3 days. Now, if you keep progressing like that, you're gonna get to a reasonable standard in mathematics. So what I said was the first tip was you must master, don't memorize. Master all the content, don't memorize it. And in that way, you'll be able to solve problems you've never come across because you understand how to apply the topic. Second one was work on your weaknesses. Focus on what you're not good at. Either it's a test writing skill or it's a math related skill. You have to see if it's a weakness and focus on it so you can improve. Now, the third one was be consistent and practice a lot. This is the most important thing in studying maths. If there's one thing you have to take away from me, you can forget the whole video and just remember that you have to practice and be consistent. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.